16 yes, one not voting, motion carried.
And our last item from Law and Order, resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe authorizing the employment agreement between the Oglala Sioux Tribe and Jason Lonehill for the OSD Department of Public Safety Chief of Police position. Skip it down to the fourth whereas. Whereas on June 9, 2026, motion and vote, the Oglala Sioux Tribe Council selected Jason Lonehill as Chief of Police, subject to no negotiation of an employment contract by the Executive Committee. And whereas the Executive Committee has negotiated the attached employment contract with Jason Lonehill, which provides for a 4-year term and an annual salary of $90,000. And whereas on June 24, 2026, the Executive Committee of the Oglala Sioux Tribe approved the contract and referred the same to the Tribal Council for final approval. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council does approve the four-year contract with Jason Lonehill as Chief of Police of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Department of Public Safety, which contract is attached hereto and incorporated by reference as is fully set forth herein. And therefore be it resolved, and be it further resolved that the tribal president, or in his absence, the vice president, is hereby authorized to sign the employment agreement. Certification. Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman West and second by Councilwoman Little Hawk-Weston. Roll call.
Marco Steele. Craig Dillon.
Yes.
Blaine Littlefinger.
Good.
Lyle Weston.
Yes.
Jeremy Rosales.
Yes.
Bo Little White Man.
Yes.
Richard Greenwald Sr.
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston. James Cross.
Yes.
George Dreamer Jr.
Yes.
Jackie Sears. David Kelly.
Yes.
Norman Standing Soldier.
Yes.
Julianne Spotted Bear.
Yes.
Anna Halverson.
Yes.
Troy Little.
Yes.
John Ringos Bear.
Yes.
17 unanimous, motion carried.
Thank you, Chair. That's all for Law and Order.
He wind in his hair. Is he in here? How come there wasn't a PT test put in here?
What? So we'll move on to our 2 third items. At this time, I'll turn it over to Chair Finance.
Thank you, President. I just want to say congratulations to Mr. Lonehill, and I look forward to seeing what you produce and are able to do within our communities, keeping our streets safe.
What do you want to say a few words?
Thank you guys, I appreciate your voting confidence in me. I'll do my best at it. We've been working hard past couple of weeks, and there's some things that we're trying to smooth out. One of them is our charter. We'd sure like to get our charter back. That's something that we need to move forward on from years and years. We've got to get moving forward. There's some things that need to address with the Law and Order Committee that go through the committee and come back up this way. So I'll just get with them. I appreciate it.
Go ahead, Councilman Wolfsburg.
Thank you, Chair. Dr. Jason, I was wondering if you could give it to AG and start looking at that gun buyback. Because I know we put it into play 2 years ago, and nothing ever came forward. So if you could at least get up there and make sure we're out on it.
Okay. We had it out there, but nobody's approached us about it.
Maybe we get it out there a little bit more. You guys got a flyer?
We have it, yeah, we could, I'm pretty sure we have it on our Facebook page, and we'll revise it and send it back out again.
Okay, and that way, if you get it to some of us, we can put it out there too. All right, thank you.
Councilman Junior.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say congratulations, Mr. Longhill. It's good to see you out in the community, walking with the community members, going through city walk through Pine Ridge Village, and you don't see that too often with police officers. So I know you're serious about your job and the change you want this reservation to see. So I just want to say commend you on that, and thank you for your participation in the communities.
Thank you very much.
All right, yes, again, congratulations, Chief. And we'll look forward to working with you. And hopefully we can move forward. And we'll try to work together, get some data going. I think we're going to do one more trip to Washington to address law enforcement. So I'll get with you later.
Okay, sounds good.
President, item number 1, the resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council. We're going to hold on that. I've asked the treasurer to give more explanation on what the BIA reported. That was funds that was already drawn down from 24-25.
Good.
So we'll just go right into the treasurer's report.
Okay. Treasurer?
Okay. On that 6,511,064.57. I know you guys did an ordinance for that, but I talked to Gina this morning because the normal process is that when the grazing fees are done, they go into our BTFA account, and we combine our BTFA accounts. So the 6,511,000 is what was collected by BIA for 25 and 26. And that money has already been drawn down because it went into our BTFA account. And that money is also, part of that went to the landowners themselves for their lease income. So I don't know if there was a miscommunication or not a clear understanding maybe. So, and I apologize for not being here last week. I was on bereavement leave. But I just wanted to explain that real quick before I go into my report. And an update on the UEI. It is now pending in the SAM.gov system, and it should be up and ready by Friday. There is a plan. We did get through to a lady who works in the Native American office. Her name is Julie Ramey, and we are working with her because the tribe should only have one UEI. We have like 5 different cage codes for accounts where those are drawn down to, but right now there's about 8 active under OST, and there shouldn't be. So we're going to work with her to make sure that, and the funding agency to make agencies to make sure that we're all under one. One of the issues that made it take so long that they pointed out was that there was more than one person logging into the SAM, OST SAM account, and every time you log in, they create a ticket. So there was several tickets. And so after they figured that out and got it going, we got up to pending, so we should have that UEI active either tomorrow or Friday. Friday at the latest. Okay, I'll go through the report. The first page, that's this one with the flags on it. That's the revenue report for January through June from the revenue office. The first total is the general fund, the funding that comes into the general fund. The next is the program funds, and the last is marijuana income. We are waiting on the ordinance to allow us to open the account in Rapid City for the marijuana fund so we can transfer it over. Because right now, if you look at the Native American bank balance, if you go through and look through the report, I have attached, I thought I had June and May and June, but they must not have made copies of May. But every month they charge us a $500 analysis fee. And the bank that we're working with to propose a new account does not charge the analysis fee. They charge an initial membership fee, which is not close to $500. And that bank is in South Dakota, so hopefully, I believe Bob presented it to finance, but hopefully the resolution opening the bank accounts passes, or did pass, did it pass?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Then we just need one to open the bank account in Rapid for that. And that would save the tribe a lot of money. Because the analysis charges for the year is about $6,000.
Is there a resolution for it?
I think it was presented as well, Bob had it.
Can you give us a,
What is it?
the resolution to open that account?
We passed that resolution at
And
the
what's the resolution for the council?
we passed it last week, at the end of March or June.
So we can read all.
Yeah.
Okay,
So maybe use it.
all right, thank you.
Yeah.
And we have to remember that this amount, there are deposits upstairs in the amount of a little over $300,000 that we haven't sent down to Native American Bank yet. And once we open the account, we'll start it with that account. But we have to remember that the youth affairs budget was passed, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that will be coming directly out of the marijuana funds. The next report is the first net, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Just a real quick question on that, since you're talking about marijuana funds. Is, once the new bank opens, don't we have another drop that we need to do out of the vault into that?
When that opens, we can take the money orders, because it's money orders. I
Right.
remember you guys passed that ordinance. So it's money orders, and they're paying by money orders, so our revenue office can take that and deposit that for opening the account.
And then we'll have a new balance after that for next month?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
plus this balance here will be transferred over. The next bank statement we have is the list of accounts with balances for First National Bank. And I was informed that you guys were requesting some information on different specific accounts. The restricted motor fuels account is on page 3. General fund is in the negative, but we're waiting to hear back from our Bank of Oklahoma on the sales tax revenue. That's over, so we can pull it down. REAP is negative. They're waiting for the UEI so they can do their drawdown.
Go
Question.
ahead.
Was just informed by the chair of the finance that they should be opening the UEI numbers on Friday.
Tomorrow or Friday. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Master Health is negative again, that's part of the UEI issue. OST Transportation, that's the transit program, and that's a cost reimbursement. They didn't do their line of credit, I'm not sure exactly why, but it should be corrected soon. And I know I've been saying that for almost a year because they've been negative for almost a year. And that's because they are cost reimbursement. They have to spend that money before they can get that money.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, Cora, with all the issues that we're having, with the audit and the backlog on the 425s and all the discrepancies with the 425s, some of them incorrect, some of them are, and I think, one of the things that we need to consider is separating the 638 funds to each individual program through the bank. Is it, how hard of a process would that be? Can that be done? Because I think it's really needs to be done so that they can keep track of each individual program.
Through fund accounting, they can keep track of each individual program. And that's how they do their accounting for each individual program. The money just sits in the account. All the programs for 638, their money sits in the account, and then they do the accounting upstairs to keep them all separate. I don't know how many people understand what a 425 is, but it's a cumulative financial report, which means it goes one right after the other. For years, Casey did them. He didn't allow the accountants to. And we just recently allowed the accountants to. I think it was like a year and a half ago. So most of them have it down now. They have done a lot of the 425s. BIA suggested that they do the current year and then work backwards, but you can't do that with a cumulative report, because if you do the current one, you're not going to have the numbers from 2023, and your report has to go in order, because that's how you figure out what your carryover is and what you're actually spending. So it has to be done from when it was stopped. And if you look at the report that was given by BIA, they have done a lot of 425s. And the things that are missing are narratives. But we don't have control over the narratives. That's a chief of staff duty. They have to get with the programs and make sure that the narratives are complete. But there are some programs who are required to do quarterly narratives, and some programs who are required to do yearly narratives. So it would be the chief of staff's responsibility to get those in. 2024 audit, the cash balance is almost complete. That should be done by Friday. And then we can start pulling samples. And then they'll start on the 2025, getting the cash ready to be done for 2025.
My question. Go ahead, Councilwoman Spotted.
Jackie saw it.
I wasn't done yet, but I think I just want to, probably refer it to finance, because I think we need to look at that option, so we can discuss it more in finance.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I really do agree with Jackie's suggestion and separating the accounts and having their own bank account line for the individual programs for indirect. And the reason why I agree with that very much is on last Thursday, sitting in Finance Committee, we recognize that we are at a single point of failure, that if you are not here, we cannot make financial decisions without identifying what's available to programs and what's available for use. Because the topic of motor fuels tax, the topic of our non-refundable accounts are coming up for allocations. And my concern is that our programs are not being included in those conversations when they should, because we cannot speak if they are already obligated or not with their funding. And so having that done, I think would help us have a better understanding where they stand. Because I look at the Oglala Nation Power budget, and we're at $79,000 raised. And then I go back and I look at our payroll being at negative $149,000, and our general fund a negative $300,000, over $300,000, and our indirect. And when we operate and while we're waiting for this funds, it's like me saying, I'm getting paid next week, but I know I'll have the money so I can pay it. For me, that's just not a safe way to operate, because that money is not guaranteed we don't know how the government's gonna respond one week to the next. And so when we're looking at programs to pull for allocations, and then we're wanting to run a pretty hefty powwow, where do we prioritize and what is significant? I know we spent a lot of funding in 150th annual Bigfoot Memorial, and I appreciate that because that's telling our history. But at some point, if we don't have the funding, we just don't have the funding. And now do we choose, is there going to be a powwow, or do we call it and say, we're gonna start fundraising for next year? Because if we keep pulling from our programs and then promise for monies in the future that are not guaranteed, how are we gonna operate like that? How do we continue to utilize the people's money and say, well, we're gonna put it towards this, and we're gonna do, it just doesn't make sense, and we cannot make sound and mindful financial decisions at this point when I see so many negative signs on the bank statement.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. We don't have the money. Everybody thinks we're rich, but we're not. The money that we get is already, how do you say it? Allocated for specific purposes. The restricted motor fuels account used to be, when we first made the agreement, John Steele was president, and the agreement was that we would take care of our own people's roads. That's what the motor fuels money was for. I don't know where that changed, but it's not in the ordinance anymore, it's not in the agreement anymore. It shouldn't have ever been taken out, but it was. That powwow money, that's not raised money. There was $35,000 left over from last year, and I had $50,000 set aside for veterans powwow, but they used the general fund budget, so I transferred that $50,000 from the veterans powwow budget to the Oglala Nation powwow budget, because they only had $29,000 left. So I transferred that over. So I don't know where they're at with fundraising. That's up to the committee.
Can you answer that, President?
Yeah, they're getting that budget ready as we speak, and I think we have a projection on what we're going to present tomorrow.
So there's a plan to ask for funding. Is that correct?
I'm not sure where we're sitting at exactly. Like I said, they're still getting the numbers together. But we did try to do some reaching out and things like that, so that's what we're trying to collect.
So my question, and I mean, if you can answer, who can answer when we decide if there will be a powwow for 2025-6 or not? Because if we keep sitting the way we are, and we keep taking money, and then now we're going to take from programs, we're just not an operational function. We're not a function, or a business, a corporation, a tribe that functions with the people in mind. That's my thought. And this is why I'm so adamant on having an emergency fund set aside. We have not been able to do that because we're approving last minute nearly $100,000 every single time. How do we have an end of year budget when that budget isn't a solution to the future? Because we're always taking from a program, we're amending it, we're finding funding.
We're not. We haven't taken from programs. It hasn't even been done until recently you guys suggested it. It shouldn't be done. We shouldn't take from programs. Even if it's non-allocated money, like taxes, we shouldn't take from programs because the programs provide services. So if we're going to have other activities, there should be money raised. Because we have no revenue source besides land lease and taxes. If you want to have the powwow, you should have been raising money. If you want to do something extra, there has to be somewhere else to get it, because we should never take money from programs, because those programs provide services and they need to operate. like Motor Fuels, they provide services, even if you don't see it in your community. They've fixed roads all over, and they're out every day. There's so much. I don't think we should be taking money from any programs. If you want to allocate from somewhere, you already allocated almost 50% of the marijuana funds. I don't think you should take any more from marijuana either, because they need to operate. And we need to operate all of our programs. Taking it for extra things is not a reasonable nor good idea. The allocations were meant to be coming from the casino. If the casino is not operating at a profit and can't make the payment, then we can't make the allocations. So I think that we need to stick to the budgets we've created and keep moving forward. We're almost done with the audits. Our financials are going to look better soon. That we can't be taking money from programs. I really do not recommend that you take any money from programs. And I know you say I don't say no enough, but this is literally saying no. Do not take money from programs.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm not done yet. We have a $146,000 bill that we have to pay back to the VA, and we have not identified where the funding is going to come from that. Do you know where we would identify the funding from?
I'm waiting for the email from Mr. Shirk at Bank of Oklahoma to figure out what our excess tax revenue is, so we can, I was hoping we could pay it from there. And I know that people were requesting assistance, but if we use that 146, we can't do more assistance.
Thank you. I'll ask you later.
Go ahead, Mr. Drummond.
Hey, Cora. I just had a quick question about FSA loans and the KLG insurance question you had with the drought insurance. Has there been anything updated on that? Because I still haven't heard anything on that.
The last time I talked to the guy from, what's it called? It's not KLJ.
Oh,
CPK. They were communicating through the land office, and you guys took action to utilize that for a program, right? Didn't you guys? Some of it to go into a program, right? A farming program? So, but I haven't heard back anything yet.
Councilman Gospel.
I'm gonna start with CKP insurance. I know we talked about it, but I don't think we ever moved any money. These kind of put that on hold next summer, and we try to find an office or somewhere to put our name, but it still should be there wherever it's at. We didn't touch it.
I haven't received it or.
Yeah, it was probably still somewhere.
thank you.
Councilwoman Howerson.
Thank you. Thank you for the report, Cora. You know, with the bank balances, it looks like we have 87 positive balances, which is almost like $120 million of positive with all the programs, and 10 negative balances, about 2.5 in negative balances. Right now, the negatives is including the Oglala store and the ranch in Kyle. They're both negative. And I know we've addressed trying to make changes to those two tribal programs. Is there any progress on implementing any changes so that those two stores see a positive and not a negative?
Yeah, we've been working on that. The Oglala Ridge store had to replace some gas pump, something, wiring, something. So they paid for that. And then the ranch's grill gave out, so they got another grill. That's why they're negative now. The CPA contract, our management contract, was passed last month, but it has to be acted on. And that comes through the president's office. And we haven't gotten anything yet. So as soon as that's acted on, then we can bring them into work.
then also, on the general fund report, we get almost 6 million a year from general fund with all of the, income that we receive from all of these taxes. Is there any kind of, like an expenditure report from general fund that we can see?
The budget summary that I give you every month, that's general fund.
But do you have an expenditure report, not the summary?
It has the balances on it.
Yeah, I understand that, but like an actual expenditure report, like of what's being
A
spent?
ledger.
Yeah, a ledger.
I can get one, it's really big for general fund.
Yeah, it would be, if you can email or if you can get us a copy, because I'd like to see what we're using with all the taxes.
Part of it, yeah.
With all the taxes is in the revenue report.
Yeah, I'm just, I appreciate all the positive that is going on within our tribe. Like, I know a lot of time we focus on a lot of negativity, but there's so much more positivity that's happening within our tribe. A lot of our programs are positive. A lot of people say, oh, we're a poor nation, but we really aren't. We just, we do have a lot of positivity happening within the tribe's financials. We're getting caught up with audits, we're getting caught up with a lot of things that we need to as part of, as a tribe. And so I appreciate your report. Thank you.
The Edward Jones is in there also, and that has not been touched since I got in office. So we just let it build. So that report is in there as well.
Got another question. Go ahead, Councilman Stanley Sophie.
So, of course,
Hello.
what line is the emergency use shelter under?
The emergency youth shelter is a program.
Yeah. Is it true that it's in failure?
They're a BIA program. So I'm not sure. That would be a Tony question. But I know that they were operating on, they get funded for like 2 positions, and the rest, they were supposed to write policies about 2 years ago. They were supposed to write policies so they could operate on their reimbursements from the state. Reimbursements from the state were supposed to also pay for the food. And, but the policies were never written. Policies were never written and never submitted to committee. So they couldn't be passed. And that was one of the reasons they got a new director who was writing the policies, but I believe they don't have the funding through 638. And right now, because they don't have approved policies, they can't get reimbursed for the children who are there.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Gosper.
Thank you, Chair. Or on the, is it Edward Jones? We're on the count owners on it. We got Jack Kenneth Rowe.
Okay, those, I gave forms. We gave them to the president's office, to Tony, and to John. And they need to be filled out and returned. And I offered to return, if they would bring them to my office, I could return them. But they haven't. So once those are returned, then we can change the owners. Because right now, I believe it has Mason and Dean too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this investment account advisory solutions fund model. I guess that's the only account, this is the only report we got, because I was looking for the interest account and the other interest account. But they're not in here, it's just this investment advisory solution fund.
That's because they were combined. Remember, it was probably about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. We pulled all the investment accounts and put them into one. because it came from a donation from a person who had passed away. So we basically inherited these accounts. So a part of that, Kenneth Rowe, he was the advisor for them. So once we took the money out of there, we put it into the investment account and the interest account that was earned while it was still going between us and them. That interest was moved into the investment account as well. So we also had another Edward Jones account that had about $200,000 in it that we moved over to this account as well.
So how much interest did we have, I guess? Do you have that report? I'm not seeing it in here.
It says that this month was a negative. Negative 5,000. The change in value is usually where the interest is put. That changes daily.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Councilwoman Spotted.
Thank you. In the general fund budget, this one here, the long-term loan office is in a negative. Can you explain that one?
Remember when we did the budget, you guys said to have the loan office move over to its, like a standalone, like marijuana? I don't want to say standalone because that causes so much confusion, but they have their own account. So we do the accounting through that separate account. They're no longer in general fund, but because the first couple of months, they were in general fund, so their salaries were in there, but we didn't put money in that budget. It was opened with their budget. So we haven't reimbursed ourselves in the general fund.
So once that's done, we can close that line item.
Right,
Okay.
that fund.
And that's gonna come from the loan office.
Right.
Okay. Once it's built out, or what is the wait for?
Yeah, I was waiting for it to build up because at graduation, school close time, and Christmas time, they get pretty depleted.
That brings me to my next question. The resource office is in a negative as well.
That's because we closed that office before their last salaries were paid.
Okay. And you mentioned school closed. Last week, had our PR put out that there will be no school closed distributions this year. Is that correct?
I don't know, I don't talk to our PR about that.
Right, but there's no funding for it. And I just want to make that clear because, I mean, in 2 years, we've had to pay 1.9 to the summer food program, the 146 to the VA, with the restructuring loan for the USDA, which we're still working to write off. I just want to make sure that we're putting out correct information if we're going to make that decision that there's no funding for school close, that gets out to our people, so for their expectation management.
If you took that action in finance, then that will be the action.
Are you finished?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Halverson.
Thank you. Mr. Standing Soldier brought up the emergency youth shelter, and I know that was probably a text that we all received as council reps that was shut down. And I do know that there's also misinformation on social media, like a fake social media profile that are giving tribal members false information on financials and blaming council or the president for spending funding from those programs and having people think that is what's really happening here when in reality that politics page is not giving out accurate information, and instead, you know, they're just giving out all this misinformation is just to have our tribal members out there listening. That can be verified by you that that was not spent, emergency youth shelter funds was not spent by council or the president, correct?
No, emergency youth shelter has a really small budget, and they were supposed to be working on reimbursements. So their budget was spent by them, it was not spent by council or any other program.
Yeah, it's just really hard when a lot of unverified information goes out there, as well as information on what our tribe spent on a summer food program. You know, the financial part of the summer food program that the tribe spent had to be obligated to pay was around 400,000, a little over 400,000. But there's misinformation out there that people are saying that our tribe spent our tribal money on that, which is also untrue. It was the state-funded reimbursement program that paid that, and there's a lot of history beyond that. But it really just bugs me that there's so much misinformation that goes out there that undermines like our trust as council reps and executive board, with a lot of blame coming to us as public officials with inaccurate information. And I think the right information and the right questions can verify that, but people need to understand that that fake Oglala Lakota politics page is responsible for a lot of negativity that's going on out there, because they're not giving out correct information. I don't know if there's a way like you'd be able to go to Keeley Radio or something to give out like a report, but you know, you would think that people would listen to council meetings when you're on as treasurer's report. But I just wanted to verify that, because when we start blaming us for youth programs, you know, it's not good, because those youth programs, they're important to us and they need to be open, and we need to find solutions on what we can do to support that youth shelter to be open again. And that's my question to you, is like, how can we use funds to open that shelter once again?
I think you guys first need to do a little planning. Figure out how much BIA will give you, figure out what's missing, why they haven't given it to you, and figure out, or have CPS help you to write the policies. Because that reimbursement could operate the whole program. Every time you have a child there, you get reimbursed for the services you provide. So if you could do that, create a task force or whatever and get that done, I think that would be the best route to go. And we have people who work for us who can do that stuff. Kimmy Clausen is really good at grant writing. Alicia, Susan, Lisa, Jacob, they can all help you with policies. So if you create a task force and work with them, pull them in, ask them for help, I think that would be the best way to go to get that open. Because that service is really, really needed.
Is that something that we could make a motion to have you work on to get that emergency youth shelter open? Or find,
I think honestly you guys should create it from within.
so,
Either through finance or HHS.
okay, we'll probably put it on the finance agenda tomorrow.
Okay.
Councilwoman Lou, question?
I'm over here. My question, I guess, Cora, was just to ask about the election commission budget. This is what they have now in their budget. I think they were asking that earlier after we appointed them. And I was just looking at the amount, so that's what they have in there to start working on the election. Okay, so I just wanted to get that part, just answered. I think one commissioner was sitting in here, but I think she left. So I guess,
I did talk to them,
okay.
because their plans would have to come from the secretary's office.
Oh, okay, not the HR?
And they send them to the HR with the resolutions.
Okay,
And then the HR does have a pool for their office manager and
Okay.
secretary, whatever that other position.
oh, okay, for the ones.
But their attorney would have to go with it.
Okay, all right, that's what they had questions over, and then the building over here, so we said to maybe work with Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck is gonna open it up for them to,
And then they need,
or not Chuck, but Jimmy.
yeah, and then there'll be the porch to be put in, remember they took that porch?
Okay.
Yeah.
Check it out, it was on Walton.
That's all.
Okay. All right, Councilwoman Sears?
Yeah, I just wanted to let, council know that whenever they passed the secretarial election amendments, part of that, one of the amendments was that the people can come in and request financials now if they got concerns and they want to see where they're at financially as a tribe, they can do that now on their own. They can come in and get those records. So that passed. So I just wanted to just kind of let them know, councilors, that we should have somebody out there giving positive results of what's going on with the tribe. And that's what our PR person was supposed to be doing. So, we do have a PR person. So that's something I think it's Johnny. Where is he? Yeah, but he's supposed to do that. He's supposed to put out a lot of positive things that the council has been doing and the tribe overall. But I just wanted to, let the people know too that did pass with the secretarial election, so people can come in and request records, financials. Thank you.
Okay, I have the chief of staff here. I just wanted to answer the question on UIS. Give just a brief summary of what the situation is.
Yes, I will.
Good afternoon, Council. You know me, I'm Kim Clausen, Chief of Staff. UIS has been near and dear to my heart lately. I've been working on it really hard. It is a PL 638 contract with the Bureau of Indian Affairs for $160,000 a year. It's been closed for a while because they've got issues. The roof is leaking. They don't have licensing. They don't have the fire done. So there was a temporary appointment put in there, and we were giving him details of what he needed to do to get in compliance. One of them was to develop a budget. So we need to develop a budget. It's got 10 beds in there, and it serves 13 to 17. I really need to vet you guys. That's a really important program. Well, they don't have any money. Right now, in my account for EYS, I got $60,000 in there right now. But I need to do the licensing. So we went, me and Cindy helped the director that they placed in there get a budget. In order to open EYS up with full compliance and the ability to take care of those children, we need $450,000. Bare minimum. That's having 6 providers in there. That's a man and a woman, because we take girls and boys. They have to be in that building 24 hours a day. We cannot leave those children alone. We cannot. And I've looked everywhere, you guys. I went to Tuahe. I went everywhere. I went back over to BIA. I've been everywhere, you guys. I even asked IHS if they had any money. Just looking for money to try to fund that. I even got a hold of, child pigeons program to see if they had any money that they could help this program out with. And so far, you guys, I haven't found a penny. I even asked for one-time money at BIA, even though we could get one-time money of $30,000. Again, we're gonna have a director in there, so what we've been paying for the last 20 months is a director, an admin assistant, and a security guard. But my opinion is that why are we paying those positions when we don't have any children? So I did terminate the director yesterday and trying to find out a way of doing this. We need somebody that goes in there that can write grants, that can look for money, that hustle. So if you take the 160,000 that we're gonna get from our 638, there's still a negative balance to meet that 450, you guys. That we just, if you've got any ideas of where I could get money at, let me know, because I've been trying. I've been up there, I've went through the building, the roof is leaking, we've got mice in there, it's dirty. I'm really disappointed that we couldn't at least go in there and get that roof fixed, that we could at least get the mice taken care of, put all those donations away somewhere. It's, the only thing nice we got in there is a big screen TV. And so I've had property supply lock it up. They're gonna go up there and fix the ceiling, the roof, so it quit leaking on the far end, it's leaking onto the ground. The carpet's all wet, smells really moldy in there. We gotta strip all that out of there. So anything that you guys can do, if you know funding anywhere, if you can look at another maybe formative ed with Dana's program, they've got budgets in it. These are our children. They should be a priority. I've got directors traveling to Hawaii, going all over, but nobody can help the children. It's really frustrating. So I'm going to put it out to you guys. Help me figure out what we need to do.
All right, thank you, Ken. Councilman Steele?
Thank you. Some years back, I proposed that we put these programs under the Youth Affairs Committee, but because of politics and back then it was HHS Committee, refused to give up the programs because, I don't know, they wanted control over it or what, but the Youth Affairs Committee don't have no programs under it. And I said in the past, we need a committee that's going to focus specifically on these youth programs. In HHS, there's so much issues with housing, with IHS, other areas that it don't focus on the youth. In law and order, same thing. We have law enforcement, our court issues, other things other than the youth programs. And so I believe in the Youth Affairs Committee, they took action to put those committees under them, so you can have a committee that's specific with these programs to help focus on them. Man, these needs, we never heard about the needs of those programs. No one comes in and gives those reports. And it's very often that we hear them, and that's what I'm saying. I think it's important that we shift those youth committee, those programs under the Youth Affairs Committee. So at least you have someone monitoring. That's just a recommendation that I made long ago, but I think it's coming forth.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilman Greenwald?
Thank you, Chair. I'm glad you're here today to come answer some questions. I kind of find it disheartening that an individual would find out that he lost his job through a text message, not an official document from the tribe saying that, I'm sorry, but this is what's happened, and you're no longer being employed. For somebody to receive a text in the middle of the night saying that you're not going to come back to work.
I did not send a text.
But his supervisor did, so that's how he learned he was unemployed. So. The thing about this is, we all sit here and we all, right now, we just said how important the youth were and how important these programs are to us. And we all know that they're important to us. But then we bring somebody on board and we hire them, and they might have a master's degree or a bachelor's degree, and they could do the world for us. And then we find out that they haven't done shit. They didn't do any reports. They didn't do their monthly reports. They didn't, half the time, I know of 2 occasions when our past director that was in your position went up and said, I want to see this. They got $1,000 worth of groceries. go up to the shelter, there ain't no groceries there, where did all them groceries go? People are still in it, and we still haven't addressed that employee, and they could go on to the next job and do the same thing, the next job, they're still in, they're running programs into the ground. When do we develop some kind of ordinance that addresses those individuals that are job bouncing around, destroyed programs, stealing money? I think our Inspector General should investigate that whole youth program. I think it needs to be investigated. Where did all this money go? How come you didn't do your job? You know, so you have your hands cut out for you. If it's that important, we need to start thinking about those things, about how we're going to address these employees that are just failing us. Or if it's important to me, I would imagine it would have been important to the last director that was there. But it falls under the same pattern. We just let the program run into the ground, we start stealing money, and then the program shuts down.
Richard, I so agree with you, and I'm going to bring some into finance, that I know what you're saying is true. It is absolutely true. And you try to get on these directors, and they are ugly. They threaten you, they're right down me. I'm going to committee, I'm telling on you. So we try to correct their behavior, we try to slow their spending, we try to slow their travel. We don't sign their documents, it's just ugly. You know, and I've even got the point, if you're going to raise hell with me, security can come and walk you out. All I'm telling you, I've looked at your grant, you have no money. I looked at your grant, you spent $2,000 in fuel. What are you doing? Where are you going to spend that much? Why is it my grant? No, it's not. Those aren't in your grant. You know, and I pointed out with their grant, their scope work, their budget, I pointed out. But they're going to do what they're going to do until there's consequences that say, if you do this again, you're going to be fired, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. Whatever you guys choose to set forth, I will implement it. I will implement it. But right now, there's not been anybody in there for what, 5-6 weeks? They went rogue. They went completely rogue. So, you know, again, needs to come back, and I will bring stuff into finance tomorrow, and I will show you documents where there is fraud, there is embezzlement going on.
And I think you need to also look at, you put money into rehabbing that place. Why isn't it looking to where you, if that money was rehabbed, and you know you're not no dummy, was that done in there? That needs to be investigated. You know, and we could go on and on about that, but it still needs security. Somebody's going to break in here and tear it apart. You know? So I don't know. I feel for you, but good luck, and I know I have confidence in you. So.
Thank you, Richard.
Councilman Kelly.
Yeah, you know, I found out in a roundabout way, just like everybody else, but, you know, Kim, you know, thank you for stepping in and taking some action. But with that being said, you know, I think at some point, we as tribal council have to take some responsibility also, because half of our salaries pay for program oversight. And what I guess essentially what I'm getting at is, you know, we pay a substantial amount, and these programs pay a substantial amount of indirect cost to have program accountants manage and have oversight on what's being spent. But in this case, apparently the program accountant didn't come forth and let anybody know, any supervisor, that this program was being jeopardized and ready to be lost, and now we're pointing the finger at Kim for taking some action, which, you know, commendably she had to do. I don't understand where you came up with the $450,000, but, you know, I do know we have new funding. I don't know if this is a calendar year program or a fiscal year program. And if it's fiscal, then, you know, by the end of this month, they should have some funding coming in. So I don't think it's completely lost, but maybe it boils down to management, and I think we can survive with closing the doors just temporarily until we get new funding for
That's what I
the
propose.
year.
Yeah, that's what I propose. Just
But
stop the madness and then look at it and let's work
Because you're
together to
right.
find out a solution. You're absolutely right, but let me explain that budget to you really fast. I need 6 providers. The biggest part of that program is keeping those kids safe. Keep in mind, they're coming in there drunk, they're coming in there high, they're coming in there abused. There's all kinds of reasons those children are coming in. So what I want to have enough staff in there so those kids don't run away, so we can check on them every hour. Are you white? Have you thrown out? Lots of different scenarios, you guys.
yeah,
So,
but Kim,
men and women.
let me stop you right
Okay.
there. If it's an emergency youth shelter, then wouldn't the youth have to be in some sort of endangerment? Because if that's the case, and then why are we allowing them to come in high and come in drunk when we should be turning them away? Because they're getting money from somewhere if they're gonna consume that sort of stuff. It's not our responsibility, if somebody's getting threatened and a gun put to them or a family member throws them down and kicks the snot out of them, then they should be placed in that shelter. But if they're coming up there drunk and high, turn them back into public safety. I'm just saying, Kim, I agree with you what you had to do. I know it's a hard thing to do. Probably catching some heat, which I'm kind of hearing right now, but I do think this tribe needs to accept some responsibility for where we're at technically. And it's not necessarily in this council, but we hire people to manage our finances. But can I address the treasurer also?
Yes, go ahead.
Cora, going back to, I'm sorry to cut you off, Kim.
No, that's fine.
Going back to your Native American Bank report. You know what, last Thursday we had the new director. Uriah. Come in and presented us some numbers which I had to question because it was basically false information. And so we understand she's new to the program and apparently she's worked as an administrative assistant in there. But I got a question on some of the checks that are coming from the Native American Bank and the amounts. And I don't understand why we're paying Native Nation events almost $4,600 down to Virginia. And what was the purpose? I also, along with Ms. Halverson, would like to see how and why we're spending this money, because I don't know if some of these guys on here that are receiving roughly a $2,000 check are board members.
Some of those were workers, that one was for travel. I think they went to Las Vegas or something. And I believe that 4,580 was for registration fees for all of those board members and employees who went to the camp conference. Was it in Las Vegas or, no, San Diego, I think?
I don't know, it's just made up to Virginia.
I think it was in California, wasn't it?
So I'm just questioning some of the costs because it'd be nice to know if they're, we know where the marijuana stuff's at. We've had to hear the attorney twice, at a minimum twice.
Look at the attorney fees.
Yeah. And I asked the young lady, what is the mean, going over the past 5 to 6 years, and she didn't understand what I was talking about. But I was just trying to get a projection, what this tribe receives year to year, so that, you know, we didn't have a report for 2 months, you know? And we had a lot of questions at last week's finance meeting because we just couldn't address any numbers.
Did you want me to explain that?
Yeah, if you want.
Okay.
We just,
They started out with a big balance, it was like almost $2 million because that was several years of deposits that had to be made. But they averaged about $450,000 to $500,000 maybe a year. I think right now with more dispensaries, they'll probably go up to about $700,000 to $800,000. Their budget runs, when they first started, it was about $400,000, and this year it was approved to be $600,000. So, and they have been operating since we've deposited on that money, and whatever money we deposit quarterly. We've been waiting for that bank in Rapid City to be approved so we could deposit there because it would be cheaper for the tribe and for the marijuana commission. Their average salary went from about $5,000 a payday to close to $10,000 because of all the employees that have been hired recently. So that's a larger expenditure, a larger increase. So if you multiply that by 26 pay periods, it's almost about 200, 260, just for salaries and taxes.
yeah, the issue is we haven't seen an actual budget from them, so we don't really know. We're kind of taking a swag at what's there. And without having numbers in front of us, it's kind of hard to figure out. I'm just questioning why we're spending and what is the benefit. And come to find out, you know, from my understanding, all the information we've been receiving within the past month, we roughly kind of want out of the marijuana business because, you know, you were here through one of them meetings, you know the deal. But I just want to know what we could base some of our recommendations on budget-wise that come to the tribe. That's all I wanted to know.
He is their accountant, so I can ask him for a budget summary for this year.
Okay. Yeah, we got a lot more information than what we wanted last week, and some of us are reluctant to even bring the discussion up, but it still has to be held at some point.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, moving on to your daily report. It was about 6 months ago I asked about the high tunnel system initiative. And you informed me that it was going to go to Tyler. And I spoke with Tyler, the utilities director, on a couple occasions, and he says you retracted it and took it back.
No, I didn't.
But there's still money sitting there, and I do have a community that would still like to have a hoop house or a grow house so that they can do their own vegetables and whatnot. So have we figured that out?
No, that went through utilities, and the last time I spoke to him about it, he was gonna look into it. Because that was through a specific program through USDA.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, he was
Still
here
under utilities.
20, 30 minutes ago, and I asked him again, and apparently it went back to you, and now it's in Frank's office. So I don't know where it's at.
I never
but we would
retracted
still-
anything since you guys took that action to have utilities work on it.
And then, you know, you missed the federal highways meeting last week, and I see they made a major deposit into that account, which I'm glad they did. But that also makes me question, what is the HUD LOCCS account? Because I don't, what's that HUD was, I'll try a calendar.
No, the HUD locks, that's the Oyate Mutual Zone EP grant. It's just being held under that account because it was through HUD.
Okay.
That's the bathroom grant.
Utilities?
Huh?
That's the one under utilities?
Yeah, but it's kept under there because it's a specific grant and requires specific outcomes. So we keep it separate.
Then, you know, I'm gonna go back and probably compare your report to previous months, but when we were at the Wounded Knee meeting, you gave us the dailies and for years, for almost well over 6 months, the Wayati General and Dakota Prairie Ranch were always in the negative, and then they jumped up to over $100 and some thousand, and now 2 months later, we're back into the negative. Which you know, I'd like to see an expenditure or general ledger on how that money's being spent also.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty tough to try to figure out how much loss. That was probably over an $80,000 loss that we took in a 2-month time frame, if I remember right. And you had told me they reconciled the accounts, which put us over 100 and some thousand, but now we're back into the negative. Is it mismanagement out there?
No, it was emergency purchases. At Oglala General, their gas pumps went out because of the communication system or something like that. They had to purchase wiring and pay a guy to fix it. And that was yeah.
Yeah, I know them guys. I know them real well.
Yeah, so they had to pay them to fix it. They had to wait like a week for the guy to get back from Wyoming too. And then out to the rent, their grill gave out, and the restaurant is what makes their money. So they had to purchase a new grill. Otherwise they would have been even worse than the negative.
Yeah, so
We don't have emergency funds for those businesses, so they have to do it themselves. Save money where they can.
okay. Which you know, it was me last week and probably the week before at finance that was asking for an assistance allocations for the district. And it was me that brought up motor fuels money. And I can go all the way back to 2003, 2004 with the original agreement. You were right, you know, it was the intended purpose, but since then it has changed.
Right.
And the reason I'm saying that is because, you know, and I concurred with my counterpart from the district, we haven't had any service in a couple of years, and technically, you know, it's the people that pay that tax. It's not the tribe, so I always declare, and I'll always state that it's the people's money. And if it's not being spent correctly, then I always thought it should go back to the people in some form, so therefore I recommended an allocation. So, you know, it is a program, but that program is based on what the people sacrifice at the pump, which is 21+ cents. So we shouldn't be in favor of the program all the time, especially when, you know, I'm getting numerous calls, and I'm assuming my counterpart and the rest of you guys are getting hammered by Lake Creek shutoffs. And you know, my phone's still going. As a matter of fact, there's another one right there looking for assistance to help pay a light bill. And in here, we you know, I agree with Mrs. Spotted Bear. We don't really have a contingency plan, even though we've been asking for one for quite some time. So how are we supposed to address them? And I was just looking for a supplemental way so that we can help, at least help our people out. You know, maybe not all of them, but a majority of them, maybe our elders. So that's why I brought it up. Just looking for another alternative solution. So, which brings me to the last page. I don't understand what various vendors in, because they're sitting at 421,000. Is that just various money that's floating around?
Those are smaller grants that come in and from different programs. They don't have the same guidelines as 638, and they usually don't have as stringent guidelines as the bigger programs. So we put them into various vendors, and then they account whenever the programs do purchases or whatever for those smaller grants, they just take it out of that account.
So it's program money that's sitting in the general account?
It's not in the general account. It's in a separate account. Various vendors is a separate account. The general account is under general fund. Various vendors is separate. It's money that we don't want to put in the general fund because it's for programs specifically.
Why is it not with the program then?
Because we keep the $638 separate from smaller grants. Because the reporting requirements are separate.
That really doesn't make sense. If it's program generated, then it should stay with the program.
But the programs are under either Fed programs or BIA.
Regardless, it's still program generated funding.
Right, but it's separate money that's usually brought in for a specific purpose. Like transit has several accounts here because they have separate grants. And it has to be spent different ways and the reporting requirements are different for all of them. So,
Yeah, I know transit.
so each account, the small grants that goes into various vendors are for the programs that they keep the accounting up with their accountants. It's usually for like special equipment or a special employee or a special contract that's not 638 money.
I guess, moving on, you said the UEI number should be ready by 7/10 this coming Friday?
Tomorrow or Friday. It was listed as pending today.
But, you know, I think we've been harassing you and hounding you and talking with Tony at almost every meeting. We've been at this since April.
Right, we've been at it too.
And you know, I kind of know how it all happened. But, you know, we should never be in that bind.
Right.
And that really put us in a bind. I'm just gonna let that one go and move on, but the last item I wanted to address, you know, and hardly, it was just the president and myself that showed up at the hearing for Mrs. Redfish. And we do have another one coming up for the other party. But, you know, has anybody taken it upon themselves to sit down with the U.S. Attorney's Office or the prosecutor in this, because we own 4 properties?
Right.
And we need to at least evaluate what they're worth. I don't think we're gonna make back what was lost. And I don't think, you know, with what's gonna happen, we were joking around and, oh yeah, we're gonna come back and hire her back here at the tribe, you know, but that was more of a joking type deal, but I don't think she's gonna be able to get a job anywhere. So we're gonna need to find out what our total value, estimated value could be potentially on everything and anything that happens. And you know, my contention right now is, when this happened, there was an existing board that was sitting in place, and this happened right underneath their nose. So I can't concur with them coming in and saying, well, that's terrible money. You know, I think that's kind of some BS there on their part, because they allowed it to happen. So if anything that needs to happen, we do need to get some approximate values on what we can improve, and that money needs to come back to the tribe.
I agree with you 100%. That was why I wrote that victim impact statement. That was why I wrote it the way I did, because that's the people's money. It's not Carol's money. It's the people's money. That's the money that goes for assistance. That's the money that goes for training. That was for the people. That's why I wrote that victim impact statement that the president read at court. And and I'm gonna do the same thing for the next one. Because they should know what that money was supposed to be used for. This was going on since 2013, was it 17? Whenever I found out about it, I was sick to my stomach. I was the one who went to the bank to meet with them. I was the one who gathered all the documentation. I was the one who went to the feds. Because it was wrong.
Well,
Because that was the people's
I'm not
money.
disagreeing, I'm just saying we need to find out what the approximate value is of what each property. And I understand, just kind of in a scuttlebutt way, that there are people still living on their properties, still paying their rent.
Right, so Steve did email us about that, and Steph did request that we are able to get them appraised. So Steve is supposed to be working with the U.S. Attorney now to find out when we can do that.
Okay.
Or even if we can do that before we accept them or not.
All right, thank you.
But just FYI, we did add some things into that impact statement, and just us being there present also was an impact on the decision the judge made, because she wasn't aware of some of the situations that were going on. So it does matter when we show up in numbers. Councilwoman, a little hot question?
Thank you, President. You know, I think that it really shows, I guess, when we're told you're micromanaging, when we as council question certain things about a program.
Right.
But now even more today with what we're hearing, and how did that, you know, was it $1 million just was taken away from the tribe and going to 2 individuals. You know, how in the world sometimes people ask us, how did you guys not know that? You know, how did you as tribal council leaders, finance committee members, not ever know that this was happening since 2017? And you know, again, you know, some of us have been sitting in this circle for a number of years, and some of us sat in finance committee and finance chair, and how did we ever not know that this was going on? Some of us question ourselves too about that. But today, you know, 2 individuals are going to get sentenced. 1 already got sentenced, and I think at that same council meeting, there was a motion to banish that individual. And so she'll probably never come back here, a non-tribal member, you know. But again, you know, those are things that today people say, you know, want to know why we never knew about that. But as tribal council representatives, you know, we sit in these committees, and we are supposed to be oversight of these committees. So when we question these things, sometimes we're told, well, you're micromanaging, or no, you can't do that. Well, even more now, the way things are going, I think our council needs to really be questioning a lot of things. And whoever the 9 council representatives that are going to get in this upcoming election, I hope they're going to do that. You know, even now today, we should be doing that. We should be questioning those things. Sad to say, you know, that we have to shut down a very vital, crucial program, which is the emergency youth shelter. You know, and then when we have one of the programs, Ms. Dolmite, who handles all the young children, she's going to get bombarded with some of those older adults. And I did happen to go to her shelter one day, you know, and I did happen to see, just to see how her shelter was running, and the children that were there, you know, some older, maybe 13, 14-year-olds, you know, and I talked to them, you know, how do you like it here? They said they liked it, you know, and this is in Porcupine, you know, and when she comes in front of us, boy, we really say things to her about her budget. Well, who's watching out for the emergency youth shelter? You know, if we had a committee that was oversight of that program, we should have been more on top of it, but we weren't. We weren't on top of it. And I agree, you know, with Councilman Steele, what he said earlier. Maybe this needs to go under under the youth committee. Some of these programs need to go under the youth committee. Maybe they can have a better oversight of those programs. Because I will say that a chief of staff can't do it alone. You know, I think we've been saying that for many years, and I think Ms. Clausen knows that. She was a director, and she knows exactly the times that she had to go and do the work that she does. And I thank her for that, because she is a grant writer, and she's pretty knowledgeable about what needs to get done with these programs. So I do want to say that, but I did want to say something, but she had left, Miss Paulette Bedwillow. She was the director of that program at one time. And she did write those policies she said earlier. And it's sad to say that that program had to be shut down. I'm hoping it's temporary, and I hope that we can find the funds to help her reopen it, because we need to run that shelter in a good way to help our young people that need a place to go. So I really hope that we can do that and help her in that manner. But I just wanted to share that today, you know, my thoughts about how things are going, and I just couldn't understand how we could do that. So Treasurer, you know, you did a victims impact statement on behalf of this Redfish. And people are asking and texting saying, are you going to do one for Mr. Bear Runner, Julian, who's coming up this coming month too, you know? They said, we want to know if Treasurer's going to do his. That's a question coming from the people.
I thought this was already done.
Yeah, this was done already, but they're just asking, you know, because they're listening to you live, so they're just asking, is she going to do it for him?
If there's one yes, court, but the only court dates I got were for the other two.
Okay, that's just a question I can just throw out to you. But, you know, I do know that the other one is coming up in August, so I know that, you know, one has to be done. And so I'm sure President will be there to testify on behalf of the Oglala Sioux tribe. But I'm like, you know, Mr. Kelly, Councilman Kelly, you know, when we were told that this money goes back to Terrell, and I really don't think that's the answer that we would want to hear right now. You know, I think that Mr. Gushkro, if you're listening, which I know you are, you know, I think that these are things that Terrell, even though the director changed and the staff changed, don't mean that you're going to get the Terrell fund back. You know, all of this comes back to the Oglala Sioux tribe, and we make that decision. And so I just wanted to put that out there, you know, because with the watchful eye of the Terrell Commission, that should never, ever happen. And so today, that's kind of where I stand too. And I really think that we need to have a better insight going forward on a lot of these programs. So, you know, Ms. Clausen has a lot of work to do along with her assistant, Mr. Berman. Just want to say that we need to, you know, allow them to do what they need to do. But we need to be more mindful about what we do now with our program. So when we're questioning these things in the committee, it's for a reason. So again, we just need to be mindful of that. So I just wanted to share that with the council. But thank you.
All right, I just wanted to make one clarification as well. When we did find out this was happening, we did bring policies forward. We brought our ordinance forward, so that way all of the revenue coming would come directly to the revenue office, rather than going to those offices separately. So they do the billing and the deposits come here. Because we didn't want the same thing happening over again. So all of our revenue payments are made upstairs, not at the programs.
Okay. Councilman Weston, Standing Soldier in Sears.
Thank you, Chair. Going back to the Chief of Staff here, and the comment that Councilman Greenwald mentioned, I would like to ask the Chair of Finance, he brought up employees that keep getting into the tribal programs, get let go, and then continue on into other programs with their employment. And I can specifically remember that we put this in a personnel policy to red mark their file at HR to prevent that from happening. You know, so we don't get these bad employees bouncing within the tribe. And I would like to ask the Chair of Finance where that's at. And I thought it was supposed to be heading to council for approval.
You're speaking regarding the personnel policies and procedures. That was not passed. There is a date, the 25th and 26th of July, to finalize our financial management and our personnel policies. Our previous chief of staff was supposed to work with the directors to have those amendments done and brought back to council for approval. However, we will take the helm of that and do it ourselves at this point because we prolonged it far too long.
Yes,
That is on the end of the month.
That was over a year ago when we started that.
Right.
And in there, it was whether they resigned or got fired. You know, that language was also included, that they needed to be red marked at HR.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that Kim Clausen knows it, Councilman Greenwald, because he brought it up, and I just specifically remember when we attended that working session, that was in there. That language was in there, and it was set for council, and somehow it got changed. You know, I don't know how, because we ended that working session and it was ready for council. But I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Councilman Stanley Silver.
I'm getting old, so I won't be on my soapbox for very long. This is for Chief of Staff also, you know. Your position is pretty tough. You deal with a lot of personalities and a lot of job situations. And I realize we come from a pretty empathetic society. But in order to be a strong society, people have to do what they are supposed to do. So I'm leaving it at that, and good luck in your job.
Thank you, Norman. And it's never easy to go terminate somebody. It breaks my heart. I know what it's hard. It's really, really hard. I don't like that. But I am going to bring forward, and I'm going to tell all of you, there's things that need to be changed. There's directors that throw fits when they don't get their way. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. You know, I say no, and they come running at me, that phone's blowing up, and I got the money, and I got this in my grant. And then I look and they don't. Olivia gets beat up, Tony gets beat up, Rochelle gets beat up. It's constant. You know, and when we say no, they'll come back again. Say no, they'll come back again. I want to hire contractors. If you got money to hire contractors, hire an employee. Why are you hiring contractors? We get no indirect costs off of it. Why do I hire this contractor so I get reports done? That's your job. Why are you hiring somebody to do your job? You know, so it's tough, but you guys are going to probably hear because they're going to bitch about me. They're going to moan about me. I have no vengeance against anybody. I don't dislike anybody. I'm pretty friendly. I get along, I tease, I joke. I want them to succeed. I have no gain in it. You know, so my gain is to help you guys run a more efficient organization. That's it. You can have grace to him.
Okay, Council Spotted Greenwald, Halverson, Steele.
Thank you.
And Little.
Thank you, President. I just want to address the emergency youth shelter while you're here, Ms. Clausen.
Yes.
There was a recommendation for the director to bring back his policies, but also to include the age limit being the infant to the 12-year-old. I'm not sure where the previous director was in writing that and returning it, because with Title IV-E funding, that could have provided some source of income. And there was a statement said that we're not responsible for the youth who act out and who are making poor decisions. However, as council representatives, we are. No matter their decision makings. Because in a lot of cases, they don't have family who want to be responsible for them.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that.
Thank you.
When it comes to our youth, that is our priority. And when I have emotion behind me speaking, it's because of the built frustration that we are not at a balanced budget remedy for this tribe. We look for funding to spend versus look for funding to save or prioritize for what's going to make our people successful. So I just want to say that I don't know where we're at with that. It'd be good to see that pick back up. I know the previous director seemed motivated, and I hope that we can keep moving in that direction. And so that's my comment to that. And this next item is for the treasurer. A CPA was selected to manage both the Oyate General and the Prairie Ranch. What is the next step forward to have that CPA start moving in the direction to bring our council back into the positive? Because how I see it is we have an Ichaga board who manage one store, the Allen store.
They don't manage that.
Or they don't. So I don't know what Ichaga is doing at this point when we have two stores that are in the negative. We hired a CPA. Basically, we are the Ichaga. So why do we have Ichaga when we are bringing the revenue opportunities and ideas in? We are working directly to make sure the stores are operational and stay in a positive. So when do the CPAs get involved?
That's up to the president. You guys passed it, but he has to get the action letter and contract from the secretary, and then he has to sign up on it.
Okay, so where are we at with that, President?
I have no idea. That's you.
Usually, once you pass something, then the secretary sends out action letters with documents attached. So
we'll need to ask the secretary where we are at with that. So I hope the secretaries are listening intently, because there are decisions that are made in this circle that don't seem to move forward. I know we did have to request another extension to the VA grant. So someone's not talking to the other. The left hand's not talking to the right hand, and we're just not meeting in the middle and coming together. And our lack of communication is affecting our people across this reservation. With all of this being said, where do we stand financially? I know we want to focus on the positive, but we also have to focus on the reality of what our tribe stance is. Can we move forward with a powwow today?
it really depends on how much funds they have raised. Right now, they have $79,000 from the tribe. The $50,000 that I set aside for veterans, but they used their other budget, so I gave back to the powwow committee. And then they had, I think they have like 35,000. Yeah, he just needs to follow up on his donations.
And my next question, do we have money for allocations for our district?
No. I don't know how to say it so that I'm clear, but we do not have a revenue source other than what funds our general fund and specific programs. We don't have an outside revenue source. Our businesses are barely funding themselves. The allocations were supposed to come from the casino if they had the funding available. They're not doing that well either.
And another question that was brought up in finance in our motion was for the districts to receive their 10,000 for powwows. Is there funding for that?
Out of the marijuana funds.
Out of the marijuana funds, that would be $90,000 from the marijuana. I think that would, they probably could, but we would need to see a realistic operating budget to make sure that they'll have enough to finish the year.
So I'm asking these questions because, again, we prioritize. Where do we prioritize? The needs of the people or events of our cultural activities?
That's not up to me. It's what you guys feel. If you think you need to help them with their electricity or whatever their assistance goes for, there's some districts who have a lot of money still. There's some districts who are in the negative. I don't know exactly what the difference is, but they're like night and day. There are some districts who have not even touched their TARO funding. And maybe they have a plan for that, I'm not sure. But it's really, if you want to fund the activity for cultural, for the powwows, whatever, for just to help your community have cultural activities, I think that's a great thing. I know that Leah got their summer money, but I know that I'm still getting requests from elderly for electricity who are disconnected. So I'm not sure exactly how that's working with Leah, but that's their purpose.
Right.
So
I lastly want to say thank you for the victim statement because it was the council who made that motion to pass chapter 5 and having that as a requirement. So I appreciate you staying on top of that. I know I was sent a list of the next court dates, and I do hope that we can all attend now that I'm aware of the dates. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Greenwald.
Yes, before you and Kim leave the area, I just had one question, and I know that there was at least one or a couple programs that were under threat of losing funding as of next week. If the UEI number was not done and situated out, can you reassure them funding agencies that this will be taken care of this week and you'll prioritize the ones that are under threat first? Get their stuff taken care of. One of them I heard is the bombing program. The bombing range program, and I can't remember the other one. But they said that their funding agency said that they're probably not going to get funded if they don't have that by like the 12th or something.
okay, the next step after we get the UEI open on Thursday or Friday, the people at Treasury want to have a meeting with us and the funding agencies to ensure that everybody knows that we're trying to be under one UEI. And if it comes from the Treasury, it has a little more weight than just us asking if we can move them to a different UEI.
Right.
So that should be happening next week. But the UEI should be up either tomorrow or Friday.
I've been in contact with Albuquerque on the bombing range. Toby's been calling me. She knows what's going on. She knows where we're at. They're pushing us pretty hard to get that number in. We've told her, and there's a 3 number and a 5. They're big long numbers like that, you guys. There's a 3 and a 5. And so we've got an ordinance that calls out what is the 3 that we're going to use. So we're going to be able to use what number we have. It's not that we're going to get a new number. We got 2 numbers, that's the problem.
No, we have more than 2
Well,
numbers.
I don't know about that one. I know about the 3 and the 5. So I've been in contact with Albuquerque, and I've explained to them what's going on. And they're willing, I told her as soon as we get it, you're gonna get it, and there's a lot of pressure, you're right, but we're working on it through, so.
Some funding agencies had no problem changing the UEI from the 5 to the 3. USDA with the email. Some funding agencies refused. They told their programs they would need to reapply for the grants. And that's what we were told. But we're almost there.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Councilwoman Halverson?
Thank you. Just a few things, Cora. Earlier I was talking with the utilities director, Tyler, and he mentioned that he was looking for WAPA credits with, stating that we had 9 years missing of WAPA credits and he didn't know where they were going, and so they were sending him place to place looking for them. And I did inform him that Steph Cooney did mention that she was already on track with those WAPA credits. However, he said that Steph Cooney was not working with him on that. Do you have any information on those WAPA credits from Golden West, or what we can do as council to help mitigate like finding those WAPA funds? Because 9 years of missing WAPA funds is a lot, and I guess from my recollection, Steph Cooney had already mentioned she already had found them.
The last Utilities Commission was Steph, Lisa, and Chuck, right? So they figured out how much was owed last year from IHS, BIA, and different businesses in the area. The only thing, they were taken out of office before they could actually have the director bill. So they did the research and then they were taken out. So the next board, I believe they just seated a new board. They would have to go back and get that research, and I think Chuck's on there, right?
Yeah.
So he should have that research as well.
So can't Steph Cooney just communicate with Tyler on that? Because
She did.
He's saying that she's not.
She gave them all of their information, and Chuck has the same information.
Okay, well, maybe that's something that you can discuss with Tyler on, or we could put it on the finance agenda as well, but I just thought, 9 years is a lot, and from my recollection, it was they already had a solution, and then, so thank you for the update on that. My other question on LEHIP, in the past year, I was informed that they were only helping elders, not people. Is that something that was true? Like they were only helping the elders? Because we have many members who put in their applications, but were told that there was no funding for them and that they had to reach out to council representatives.
I don't know what they're doing up there. I don't oversee their program. They're a state program. They go through Tony, and I don't know. I know they have policies that require them to have everybody who qualifies with their income. Yeah. But it's not just for elders. It's not just for people making under $16,000 a year.
Yeah,
it's for everybody.
Yeah, that was my understanding, and I was, overwhelmed with the request that they were being denied and only elderly only, which, everybody needs help. Our people needed help out there with their utilities, and so I'm glad they got more funding. I just didn't know if that was going to be closed off to the general public or elders, or what their restrictions were going to be, or if we could encourage our members to go to the LEHIP to ask for them to help provide funding for them.
I do encourage all of our members who request utility assistance to go apply with them. We did do some elders today and yesterday who had gone to LEHIP and were denied. So I don't know what policy they're following.
So if we're getting those denial information, do we turn them to you, or who do we refer them to?
I've been helping elderly under our donation account. Let me look. which probably won't last much longer because it's only 2,100 today.
Yeah, and I appreciate that you're helping our elders with that, their energy assistance. However, I don't think many of our people out there are given that information other than, turn to your council reps and, we don't have the resources. We only have referrals to programs for them to apply to. Another thing that was brought up was the district allocations and trying to find funding to get our districts allocations so that they could also help out with their members. And according to the general fund budget, like Pass Creek District, from this year alone, they were given $223,725. And according to the report, it says they spent $182,000. Is that correct? That would include the tarot fees from the.
No, that wouldn't be on this one. That was from, the spending would. But that wouldn't be in the budget because that was received last year.
So is that how much, for the general fund that we were given with the reports, that's how much our district received?
Let me look. Pass Creek. For the whole amount, the 223?
Yes.
That's what was budgeted. And the amount spent was 182. So that's the totals from your budgets. You and Jim, and the utilities for the district.
So these are the district payments for Pass Creek.
Those are not to the district. This is your budget. Your budget and Jim's budget and the district utilities, that's for their cap office.
And that's for the new multi-purpose buildings?
It will be once they're open, but right now this is supposed to be the cap office utilities. And that total on the bottom is what you and Jim have spent out of your budgets and what we've spent for utilities.
And then also on that, how much were our districts given this year, allocations and tarot funds?
I believe this year they were given 2 allocations.
And then how much did our district receive for the tarot funds?
Nothing yet.
So they didn't receive the $125,000?
That was last year.
So in December they received the $125,000?
Right.
All right, and then I guess my last question is, there was a 2% request for payment for a few tribal workers from the right to work fees by the comptroller, the HR, and a few people. And I know that 2 of them received a substantial amount. That came to council and it was tabled twice. Then it came to committee again and they passed it and they were paid. But from my understanding, if it's tabled at council, it has to be council to approve it. Is that correct?
No.
So finance can just pay for that even though they went to council for it and council tabled that payment?
There's already a policy in place and we are in our personnel policy and procedure manual. It says we're supposed to pay out over a certain amount. In Fair Labor Standards, it says that we're supposed to offer them a choice. We didn't offer them a choice. We didn't offer them a choice.
Yeah, because I'm just, for all the employees that work and give the 2% right to work fees to the tribe, just having a small handful of employees, get, over 9,000 each was just, from what I thought was unfair compared to all the employees that should also be given that right to also request those fees too, because we have so many employees out there that who do go above and beyond and who do extra duty work, but they've never come to committee, they've never come to finance, they've never came to council to try to get those funds. But what is the 2% right to work fund fees for?
It's to supplement the tribe. The ordinance was brought forward not too long ago. It's for government function, economic development, I can't remember what else. I don't have the ordinance in front of me.
Okay. And then, I guess like my last question or concern is the, Chief of Staff mentioned that the youth shelter had financial concerns. I mean, wouldn't you recommend that have a hearing on it?
A hearing on what?
On their funds that they have been, is that some information that's relayed to you that there was concerns within that program?
I'm gonna say this one, but they're being investigated.
Okay, that's good, thank you. I guess I've taken up a lot of time, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilman Dillon, Councilman Steele, Councilman Little White Man, Councilman Goldsberry, Councilman Dreamer, and Councilwoman Little Hawkins.
My issue was, has anybody addressed our insurance policy we have for theft from the programs? And
Yeah.
will we be receiving any of that money back that was stolen from Carol? Or do we know that?
There's a limit to how much we can receive back for errors and omissions,
Yeah,
but it's already been, after the sentencing, it's already been, already put in for it. We put in for the 382.
okay, that was my biggest concern. And then, I've been approached by different people requesting an expenditure report on all the money that was spent on the Little Big One.
Okay, I think most of that was from a grant.
No, yeah, they want it, so, you know, we put it out there, that limits the bitch whining and complaining, so.
Okay.
It's so much easier if we just do it.
Oh, yeah, that's a grant that came from the Great Lakes Tribal Chairman's Association.
Let's get it out there so they don't be trying to hang you, right?
Yeah, no, and I wanted to mention that also, that that grant is from for all the tribes. But we have an account set up for that, and we have to go through and figure out all the expenditures on that. So nothing was, came from the Oglala Sioux tribe. That was all a grant, other than the programs themselves. So.
Excuse me, I still have the form. You guys are, some people just grab the mic and take off every time. We gotta control that. Where are you at, Buzz? Well, I think that will clear a lot of stuff up with what the chairman just said, and once that gets out there, because the scuttlebutt is running where programs are being shut down because all the money that was spent to go up there, and when you don't answer it, it adds fuel to the fire.
Exactly, but when you do answer it also gains attention, so.
Which will make it, when you put it on the table, they deal with it, we can move on. So,
Yes, I definitely agree. So, again, you know, even I roughed it. I stayed out there, I camped out myself. People think I stayed out in the hotel and lived it up, but no. I was there on the ground, coordinating everything, the whole event.
That's good to hear. Put that out there and they can't complain about it. You know? All right, I'm just about done, but I feel I have a few more minutes here. And I want to make a motion to approve the treasurer's report before she dies of old age.
Okay, well, we got a motion by Councilman Dillon, but we still have 4 more questions, or 4 more council. Councilman Steele?
Thank you. What I wanted to mention was this past Sunday, we had a meeting to address, gun violence and everything happening, and I want to thank, Mr. President for showing up, and, Joe Herman from the Chief of Staff's office, and, you know, we had a CHR, a KSR, and we even had the IHS CEO attend. It was a lot of good dialogue, but, you know, a lot of everything we talked about, when we talked about programs, it came down to, you know, the outreach, the money that's in the program that gets shuffled around for stipends and travel and all of that. You know, a lot of the programs that have money for services for our youth, I think we need to, as a committee, as a council, try to somehow focus to get all the extra dollars focused on that outreach. Because there's not a lot of that happening in the communities, and a lot of our young people, and, you know, and there's a lot of the at-risk youth out there that we're not getting to, who are you know, out in the late hours of the night and doing things they shouldn't be doing. But somehow we have to tailor those extra dollars to the outreach portion of all these programs. And that's sad to see one program get shut down that's really vital to the tribe. Because, you know, when the court makes a decision on children, you know, especially when their homes and relatives' homes ain't safe, that program is vital for these little ones. And we always hear that from Dull Knife that comes in, you know, try to help her the best we could, but without those programs, or, you know, what do we do with our children? So, I mean, as a whole, it seems like one big old whirlwind, and we're just getting ourselves deeper and deeper, and it's like, feels like there's no solutions, and that's, you know, through all this chaos, that's, the effects are hitting those young people out there. Like I said, the at-risk ones that we never get to. One thing that was brought up also in our discussions was, you know, even as a tribe, we sit here and we honor and recognize all the student athletes, and which is good because they should be honored. But sometimes those kids that ain't athletic, you know, that probably excel something else, we don't honor and recognize. So I just wanted to bring that up because we had a really good meeting. I wish more people attended, but there was, you know, enough people in there to put their minds together for our next meeting. And I just wanted to say thank you to even the tribal president who made time to come out that day. But you know, Kim, maybe that's something you could think about. You know, how we're going to tailor those extra dollars in these programs to go more into outreach, because we need it out there for our young people.
I just wanted to add something, you know, that it's been a big issue with the youth kind of going rogue in the communities, and, you know, raising Cain in the communities, and, you know, then trying to hold the parents responsible for their activities. But what we need is good activities. I like how Nestus, he's got his skateboarding program. You know, I love to watch that. I love to do the Smooth Operator. You know, that's a really cool program that, you know, is bringing kids in. So if we could develop more programs like that in the districts, you know, because Pine Ridge is up here, but we got, you know, the other districts, I don't really get that. So I would challenge our tribal council, and we should try to have things, you know, like our back to school badge in Lakewood District. You know, we honor the kids that are going back to school and stuff, so I will do that. You know, try to focus a lot more on their programs that are dealing with children to get more outreach out there. I can do that. I can talk to them.
Okay, Councilman Little Whiteman.
Oh, I was just gonna motion, but Craig's already on it.
So that's a second? Okay, so we got a second. Councilman Gosper?
I just got Cora. Just got a couple questions about the powwow and in the past, how we always found the money. Seemed like unlimited money, but my thing is, you know, if you get this powwow and run it right, run it like a business, because me and you had this conversation plenty of times, then it would sustain itself. We wouldn't have to worry about this problem. So I guess, you know, we need to look at a group of people. Maybe this might be a group that could run it like that. I just wanted to throw that out there, you know, because my thing is, I think we need some type of celebration again around here for the summer. Something to look forward to. It's like 4th of July. Everybody gets all fired up and they gather, watch fireworks, people grill. So what I want to see during the fair, you know, just people want to come together and have fun. I know there's violence out there, and we can't control everything, but we can put stuff in place. So I was just wondering if that's maybe a possibility. I mean, if you could look at that option, try to help them out a little money, and I think this committee, I think they might get it together.
Fundraising is key. Normally, the powwow committees are set and they fundraise for the whole year, and then they have the money to operate. They sell things, they do whatever. Wait, no. Powwow budget. You have 260,000?
Yes. That's what we're going after.
Is that what?
We're still,
budget is?
yeah.
That's what they're gonna ask.
So,
But I thought you guys had like, what you guys already have raised? Like 80?
Well, we went around and asked around. Of course, like, we did our own fundraising. I wish one of my staff were here to explain it more. Valerie, if you can hear me, can you come in here?
Well, I guess we could discuss that tomorrow, and what I could be go on and on. So,
yeah.
just to save that for tomorrow. I just wanted to ask for if that maybe a possibility, because I know, like we said, we always found money before, and I have no idea where that money came from, so.
Councilman, if I may, and we just put a flyer out on the powwow. The reason why we set that budget up that way, because we had to lobby from scratch. There was a lot of concern about the admission and things like that. You know, and I know in the past, the tribe usually helped out, but when we were told that we had to start from scratch, that's what we came up with. Maybe we should stress that before we put that flyer out. But yeah, we're still a work in progress, and I think we have some a little bit of concerns, but I think well, we're still working on it. So
I know the casino used to help and East Bend used to help. And the bank would help and the attorneys would also donate to the powwow. I don't know if they've been approached yet, but those are the major donors.
we have a list. We have a list that we reached out to.
And this year we did start them with that 35 from the last powwow and 50,000 that I had set aside previously for the veterans powwow, but they just were going to stay in their budget for their powwow. So I moved that over to the powwow. So right now they have about 79,000 in the powwow account. I don't know what account that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess just wait for the rest of that tomorrow. But the second question is that for the ranch, I've been getting like a lot of calls, and it's been going on for like the last 6-7 months. I talked to Bo about it. There's a lot of concerns of favoritism out there, just all kinds of rumors. But it's just that you kind of had that up there, so I was just wondering if you could kind of try to go out and address some of that stuff that's going on. I could probably get with you you afterwards, because I got a list of all kinds of stuff that people tell me. But I think some of it's pretty concerning and needs to be addressed. I talked to Jeremy, I didn't get a chance to talk to Ryan, but I talked to both. They agree with me too. And I just got a lot of people out there in Kyle that just want some answers. I don't know why they're calling me, but, and I guess my last question is for Kim. You know, Kim, what you said of the directors, you just gotta keep your head up. I mean, a lot of these directors have been in there a long time, and they're gonna go rounds with you. So it's like we brought the utilities director in here a couple weeks ago, and we had to deal with all that mess. So it's just, no favoritism. So just gotta deal with it. Yes.
You're right.
Thank you.
Councilman Dreamer.
Go ahead, Chair. Sure.
Okay, Councilwoman Halverson.
Thank you. I know that recently, while we were sitting here, we got a public relations, public service announcement from Lyle Jack stating that there was no funds for the school close assistance, but I'd like him to explain it, or if you, I don't know who authorized him. Oh, Yamini Jack, sorry. Yamini Jack. It says Al Jack email, so aljack@oglala.org, so anyway, Yamini Jack. If we could have him in here, because just to provide more description into what went on with this resolution. Because when I asked him about it, or why he put out this public service announcement, he stated it's because it wasn't in the original budget. So, I don't know if you approved him to put this out, or...
Finance Committee. I was standing right here.
Yeah.
I didn't even talk to him.
I just didn't know because it pertains to our budget, so, if we could have him explain it, I appreciate it.
Yami, can you come down here?
And then while we're waiting for him, just to be a part of the discussion on the powwow, when I was first on council, we were hearing that our powwow rodeo was up to $600,000 that was being spent there. And as we sat throughout the rest of the term, we were getting more and more bills from that powwow. So I do know that is an expensive powwow to have annually. So it's definitely a concern to see how much funds we have available for that powwow. But Yamni, I was just talking about your public service announcement, and you to explain what's going on with this as a PR person for the tribal council.
So last week in finance, Thursday, they did do that. They didn't have the line item budget in there, so they wanted that to be put out. And that was actually an ordinance in January 1st when they did their budget for 2026. So they took that out.
Yeah, it just, I wish there was more information on this pertaining to that, which I talked to you about, because, they're blaming, there's a lot more misinformation out there on this, and it just seems like more information should be put out,
Well, I wanted to put my numbers out, but I didn't want to cause even more of it, because it seems like people, when I look at that politics page, they don't understand funds between federal funds, general funds, where this fund, you just can't move money around to pertain to that. Right now on air, everyone's saying, oh, well, if they didn't go to Little Bighorn, we could have used that money for school clothes. Or, stuff like that. Or now they're blaming, trying to use that $300 million that was going on. If we could have used that, all that funds are in different line items, and you can't do anything. And that funding and the clothing funding comes from general fund. And so you can't just move money around like that. I don't know how much more in debt I need to put in that, but people just need to understand, and this was made in January when the budget first came out, and then you guys approved it. So that's why I just put a general information out for the people, but letting them know at least a month ahead of time right now that this is what the action was taken in finance last Thursday.
Yeah, and that was going to be my question. If this was a resolution that council passed, Why wasn't it put out in January, and why wait and cause, panic for our people, saying that we're not caring for the children and this and that, when, I wasn't even aware this public announcement was gonna go out there, but now people are saying, oh, the tribal council, they don't care about our children, and in fact, that is not true. But,
Yeah, and I wasn't there on that budget during January, and I didn't know this action. I just was told in finance last week to put this out.
I can respond.
I guess if we'd like the finance chair to respond, thank you.
Go ahead.
So last week, there was a post put out that the council is going to give out $500 in school clothes. And we don't know where that came from, because that was not a decision that was made from this body. So in order not to cause, back to the expectation management, cause confusion or concerns, we needed to get that information out there. The resolution, I don't know if you posted it back in January or not. However, it was in response to that was getting put out, that the council was giving out $500 a student. And so we needed to utilize our PR to get that information out immediately, so that when the time comes, it doesn't look like, well, the council took the money or somebody embezzled this money or such. It was in response to making sure correct information was being put out there.
So I guess in response, it kind of ignited another fire with them having this PR notice out. I guess my question to the treasurer regarding this is that school clothes assistance budget going to be something that we're going to discuss in the future before August? Or what is your, what are your thoughts on that?
In January and December, actually, that's when that ordinance was passed, the general fund budget ordinance. Remember, we brought it to the meeting at the casino, and you guys decided to take the resource office out, which included school clothes. And when I did ask about school clothes, you guys said we'd figure it out later. I guess it's later, but we don't have the money to do it.
And I guess, at the time when the resource office was taken out, is it because they were over budget for what was originally budgeted?
No, it wasn't. It was because you guys said that the services weren't enough, or they weren't provided equally. That was a decision made by Finance Committee and Council.
It wasn't dispersed evenly amongst the districts,
Right.
is from what I remember.
Because I had put it in the general fund budget originally, and then we took it out. You guys made the decision to remove it. So it was taken out.
But is that something that we're probably, as you stated, figure it out later? That's where we're at right now.
At this point, I don't know where we would get the money from.
Okay, thank you.
Can you say how much?
Councilwoman Goodhart West.
Thank you, President. I just wanted to say last Thursday when we had finance, we had a lot of discussion about this, and I want the people to hear it. We have to hear that finance committee talk last week, the ones that were present there. We were able to sit and discuss the school assistance. And I think that we also, during that time, we're addressing powwows for the districts, because one did come in and want repairs done to their powwow grounds. And again, we just could not say, yes, we'll help you with it, because Treasurer wasn't here, she was on bereavement leave, and so we waited till today, to hear her Treasurer's report. And so we wanted to know what we had in our finances. So we couldn't help that district. I think Norman, Mr. Standing Soldier asked if, did we just give a lot of, each district tarot funds? And she said, yes, they did get that. So can you guys use your tarot funds? Did we open that up for, that they could use it other than just economic development? But again, that was part of it too. And so we did have to tell her that. She wasn't too happy about it. but she left. And so we started discussing school assistance, and we were trying to figure out how can we give out school assistance, because we're getting phone calls already.
Right.
We're being asked, are we gonna be able to give out, you guys gonna be able to give school assistance? Well, we talked about it long enough in that meeting, and we decided we couldn't do it. We couldn't do school assistance this coming fall, unless something, happens where we get some funds to do it, but right now, we just don't see it.
Right.
And now today, as our treasurer, were telling us the same thing.
The
And
total
so-
for school clothes was $1.6 million.
Yeah, and the last time we did it, remember, we said you turn in your receipts to the districts. A lot of them didn't turn in their receipts. Only so many of them turned it in, and a lot of them didn't turn it in. So again, that's part of it. Then the other side of it is, that money was taken from the OLT, the broadband. And then we kind of catching heck over that. Even the treasurer's kind of, also asked, why did we do that? And so this time around, we just feel that we just don't have the funds to do school clothes. Although the tribe has been doing it for I don't know how many years, been always helping with school clothes and helping the youth. So we can't say we don't help them, we do help them. But this time around, we just felt that we just couldn't do it, and that's coming from Finance Committee. So again, like you said, you think we don't have the money to do it. I think that's the reason why Mr. Jack came to show that to me, said that, because we did tell him you need to put this out in a press release, because our people need to know we're getting phone calls, we're getting text messages, so that's why I think he put this out. Now it's causing people calling us, are texting, and they're starting to question it. So I guess, I'm hoping, and the council again will check over it, but again, that's the reality of it. We just couldn't do it. So again, that's, what we said on Thursday at Finance Committee, and now you're saying it as our treasurer. So just leave it there and hope that we can, something changes down the road, and I'm sure you'll let us know, or the Finance Committee will know. Thank you.
Councilwoman Spotted.
President, I have a community member that I'd like to yield the floor to. We know that in these meetings, we open the floor up to our communities, and I'd like to hear a response from her in regards to what she's been hearing, because she has been working advantageously with our homeless shelter and trying to get them in line and help them to a better future, and also recognizing the finances and financial disabilities that we have as well.
Okay. If you would just state your name.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Erica Gallagher. I stand before you today not as an elected official, but as an enrolled member of this wonderful tribe, who I also love our people, and I want to see our nation thrive. I want to be clear, I am not speaking against our Wachipi, Oglala Lakota Nation. That Wachipi is sacred. It is where songs are heard, our language is spoken, our veterans are honored, our children learn who they are, and our families come together. It is a part of who we are as Lakota people. What I'm asking is that each of you reflect on the priorities that you guys have set. Just from this meeting alone, we've learned that the road department contributed however much money to the powwow. As a tribal member, I believe it is fair to ask whether those funds could have made a greater difference elsewhere in our nation. This year, our youth shelter closed its doors. Families have been told there will be no clothing assistance. Every day we see relatives struggling with housing, transportation, addiction, mental health, and the basic necessities of life. These are not statistics to me. These are our relatives. These are the people that put you guys in these positions. Our ancestors taught us that leadership was never about titles or recognition. It is about taking care of the Oyade. A leader earned the respect of the people by putting the needs of the people first. That teaching still has meaning today. As a tribal member, I believe it is our responsibility to ensure that our children are safe, our youth have somewhere to turn to in times of crisis, our elderly are cared for, and our families have access to basic support. Those investments strengthen our nation every single day. I am asking you to consider whether future funding could be directed towards those urgent needs before being allocated somewhere else. Supporting our people is not separate from preserving our culture. It is the very foundation of it. Our Guachipi will always be a part of who we are, but our greatest responsibility has always been to one another and being a good relative. I offer these words with respect, not criticism. I ask that we continue to lead in the way our ancestors taught us, with humility, wisdom, accountability, and an unwavering commitment to the welfare of the Oyate.
Thank you, Erica, for those words, and I thank the President for allowing me to yield the floor to her. I think she does bring a lot of wise words, and that she is our voting member in our population as well.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for those encouraging words. Councilwoman Halverson.
Thank you. Cora, just really quick on the school close issue. Was the school close issue funding in the budget last time, or is that why we had to use the broadband connectivity grant funds for it?
It was in the budget. It was in the budget for 2025. It was not in the budget for 2024, and that's when that money was used.
So it hasn't always been in the budget, but there's been an option to find that funding for the school close. Right. I also think we lost quorum as well. I don't know if you want to do a quorum check or...
Sergeant Arms, can you round up?
Fine.
Sonia left.
Is she? Go across the road.
I'm outside to warm up, okay.
George is still here, he's right there.
George
is right up here.
Could have some, you know, the.
Roll call.
Yeah, it's really cold.
Sonia left.
Why don't we take a 10-minute break and
I've got 14.
Where's Jeremy?
Jeremy was here, he's gone.
We've got 13 in here.
Charlie's gonna look across the street.
10-minute break.
13, 5.
what do we got left?
Wrap it up, go on.
What do we got left?
I made a motion to, did we do her? Nope. What are we waiting for, point of order?
So let's run a, I think we still have quorum, one councilman stepped up.
The treasurer's report is the last item anyway.
There's a first and second motion on it. Let's run that.
The last one.
Secretary, roll call.
Holy crap, it's Bob.
It's almost midnight.
No, I have to.
Garfield Still,
At the Oasis.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Blaine Little Thunder,
Good.
Lyle Weston,
No.
Paul Whiteman,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald Senior,
Yes.
James Cross, George Schumer Jr., David Kelly,
No.
Norman Standing Soldier,
Yes.
Julianne Spotted Bear,
Yes.
Anna Halverson,
Yes.
Troy Little,
Yes.
John Ramos-Bear.
Yes. Motion adjourned.
Second.
Yes.
11 yes, 2 no, 1 not voting. Motion carried.
Thank you, Council.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Okay, motion adjourned by Councilman Goldsberry, second by Councilwoman Spotted Bear.
All good.
Roll call.
Marco Still. Craig Dillon.
Yes.
William Littlefinger.
Yeah.
Lyle Weston.
Yes.
Paul Little White Man.
Yes.
Richard Greenwald Senior.
Yes.
James Cross.
Yep. Yep.
George Schumann Jr.
Yes.
David Kelly.
Yes.
Common Standing Soldier.
Yeah.
Julianne Spotted Bear. Julianne Spotted Bear.
I said yes.
Okay. Anna Halverson.
Yes.
Troy Little.
Yes.
John Ramos-Bear.
Yes.
Just sit around here and talk to myself.
Adjourn.
13 yes, 1 not voting, motion carried. Meeting adjourned at 4:08 PM. Thank you, council, for attending, and those of you that attended today's session. Thank you for your patience. And to our listening audience, thank you for joining us today. And our audience,
Don't call me, I'll call you.
in person here. Thank you for attending. Have a
Call me,
safe
I'll call you.
travels.
Please, don't call me
Bye.
Be honest.
Be honest. Oh, shit, give me that. That's right.
Think about that, we want to answer too. And be honest.
Thank you.
After you, madam.
Do you know if they were able to help me?
I'm gonna go check right now. Yeah, I'm see it.
They're on your desk.
Norman.
Norman. I just got this yesterday. She didn't say nothing.
All day.
You could have sent everything.
There's this that, it says something about 2026 amendments, and nothing's changed on that one.
It's a clean draft.
A clean draft.
So who's in charge?
So, because I read the one that Ms. Hoffman had,
Yeah,
and it's still the same as the one online. But, so, there's supposed to be
you
one.
want the red line? That's when you have to. That's what went out.
So,
But the clean draft.
Stacy, but I said Stacy.
You'll have to research, that's correct.
So
that's the one. It's just like the red line has all the markings on it.
Okay,
So I'll send that to you too.
I will do that.
Actually, I could probably just.
I know you was supposed to be in earlier, but we won't get it till late fall.
Alright, I will find you one for 2,000.
Okay, we got that. We'll put it up if we have to.
197,000 for how long?
Where is that office? Where is it? All over.
No, it's not good. Don't touch the election for nothing.
I was trying to help people out, man. Going after that fucking bill with this money. I don't know.
I wouldn't go out there if my road
I'll let him know.
was.
Alright,
Well, that's just it. And, you know, I talked with our.
okay, I'll forward this to, this is the red line draft.
We had a road grader.
And then you can
maintenance
compare it
bar
to the
stuff
clean
over
draft.
yourself, and then
So
they
what I did.
disappeared.
There's nothing out to high school. There's nothing over in Lake Creek.
Yeah,
We don't see no graders.
yep,
Once every 2 years maybe.
yeah, same here.
Is what.
But he's got fucking brand new state-of-the-art trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I asked to buy one of the old ones. Nope.
So where do you plan on us going? On what time? You can't be saying to this date, you know.
I don't know. They canceled that virtual session this weekend, which one, marijuana commission.
You're destroying my life when you do this.
Well, I
No,
don't.
I got my wife pregnant, my girlfriend's pissed off now.
I'm not saying that the marijuana commission is pretty upset.
You wanna talk to my girlfriend? Tell her why?
But- So,
That was good.
in the old days, I would have been wife number 2.
But she would have been the widow of my brother.
Who's,
We take on my brother's wives.
or sisters of your wife? And then this one, the one-time waiver fee, whether that one's amended. That one was, that should have the July dates on it. July date instead? For July. Well, the one you sent, the Word file. Yeah. Okay.
Well, they're still meeting tomorrow, right, finance?
Yeah.
And Friday?
I have to talk to James about that. I don't think we're gonna get far for
No,
deviating.
whatever you do, do not cancel over the phone.
Yeah.
Cancel when we come here.
Okay.
Because
All right. Who scheduled the Deadwood?
that would be chill.
That's what, Forrest had to set up that weekend. I mean, whose idea was it to go to Deadwood?
Glad.
Not even. I don't know, I just get right up in. Cora and Lyle? Yeah. Go to Lyle. It's with Lyle.
I
Crowd make
don't
it easy.
know.
I don't wanna go to Deadwood.
They can't afford it. You know, you're gonna get a big old stipend. It's all your money.
It's not even fun no more. It used to be.
So when you hear that word, levy change a lot, and you're the one to blame.
Tea meeting, there's still tea in there.
You can diet. On the drive, so.
Yeah. I got these.
My phone.
Get all these veggies.
Just put them in that refrigerator over there.
I hear everyone talking and stuff. There wasn't no turkey in that this time.
I think you guys are okay.
It's so funky, I don't know how to turn it on, it's still live on YouTube.
I know, I can hear it. Oh, there's an off switch.
Did you hear you guys talking?
I know, that's why I came in. Oh. I shut it off already. Did you?
No, that's ours, no?